Support WrestleTalk!
Oh, it's Backlash predictions time! I really wanted to appear from the backdrop, but I can't actually go far enough back. Hey!
From out of nowhere.
Yeah, I like the fact that you were just covering. Were you covering your face because you were laughing, Luke, or because you thought a sort of hide and seek mechanic might work?
It was laughter, but I like the idea of it being hide and seek.
So yeah, it's Backlash predictions time. I'm Laurie Black. I'm joined by Ollie Davis and Luke Owen, and we're going to predict what's going to be happening on the show. If you want to get involved in WrestleTalk's predictions, all you've got to do is become a pledge hammer on Patreon and join Wrestle League, the predictions competition we run where you can basically vie for honor, for glory, and frankly, a rather disappointing trophy, but we do send it to you in the post. So there is that. And we will do these predictions now, I guess, under the auspices of the great bulging eyes of Adam Copeland. First match, let's do Randy Orton versus Edge. So they've already had the longest wrestling match ever. And now they're having the greatest wrestling match.
This is not going to be This is not going to be a match. There is absolutely no way on this or any other Earth, in any other multiverse reality, that this is going to be an actual match. This is going to be Randy Orton getting in the ring, punting Edge in the dick, and then punting him in the cranium and sending him away for a few months so he can then come back and we'll have this match again.
By the time they get through Edge's long-term contract with WWE for the return and doing all these matches, and they've had to space all of his matches out by having him go away injured, he's going to be like the Bionic Man. He's going to have had his neck fixed, his dick fixed. Like,
I mean, it was what we really didn't see coming is they brought him back for 4 matches, and those matches were against Randy Orton in the Royal Rumble, against Randy Orton at WrestleMania, against Randy Orton at Backlash, and against Randy Orton at Survivor Series. There's absolutely no way that this can be a match. So I'm going to say Edge via DQ, I guess, because they would have to be
idiotic to attempt to have the greatest wrestling match ever. It would be the dumbest thing. The dumbest thing.
I think Orton wins. I think Orton attacks before the bell, beats Edge down, shoves him in the ring, RKO, 1, 2, 3, and then you build to a third match. I think this whole thing has been the kind of a turning on its head of what you thought people would be good at. So, you know, Randy Orton, and we sort of assumed he'd probably win the last man standing match because he was the one who got really violent in the first place, but he didn't. And now Edge is in the wrestling match, and I don't think he's going to win the wrestling match, but because we're going to put heel heat on Randy Orton, building to a third match.
Well, Luke said that WWE would be idiotic to think that they could put on Edge and Randy Orton, bill it as the greatest match ever, and then still say, yeah, they delivered. That was the greatest wrestling match ever. That's exactly what they're doing, Luke. I've also seen another fun fan theory in sort of like the dark timeline version of this, where it's all a build to the sort of Kevin Nash finger poke of doom spot, where Randy Orton just touches Edge, he lays down, and they reform rated RKO. But no, the reason they're doing this is twofold. Number one, to get back at Dave Meltzer for having the ire to criticize the WrestleMania bout, which I bet a lot of people backstage in WWE thought, yeah, that was a worthwhile endeavor. And it's secondly, to actually appeal to the mainstream audience who don't engage in these sorts of debates, don't watch New Japan or AEW, but they know Edge and Randy Orton from before, and they think, well, yeah, sure, okay, it's the greatest wrestling match ever. And they might just think it because they're not having these sorts of discussions. Skip to the end, though. Edge wins. Because he did cut that promo saying that he wants to face Matt Riddle and AJ Styles and all these exciting new matchups. He's got to win to then go on to face them and do what he actually wants to do. We can't just have a year of Orton.
In his 4-match contract, so he's going to manage to do Matt Riddle and AJ and everyone else that he's named in one match. They're going to do an Edge Royal Rumble just for him. Sheamus versus Jeff Hardy. Now, Sheamus has turned out to be a bit of an Irish criminal mastermind and framed Jeff for driving under the influence and running over Elias, and that is set up the heat for this match.
Well, allegedly, we just know that it's a red-headed, red-bearded man who is the perpetrator here.
And therefore could be any Irish man.
Exactly. I thought Eric Rowan in a wig.
Or his brother.
This is a spectacular storyline based on and exploiting Jeff Hardy's very real substance abuse issues that are very fresh. He was arrested late last year for a DWI. I think Jeff's got to win here. However, I see this this feels very Bruce Pritchard to me, and I think they're going to continue this on longer. This is this summer's version of the Who Murdered Roman Reigns storyline. So I think Sheamus wins as the feud must continue.
Sheamus wins. I don't care.
Damn, it feels good to be a gangster.
Yeah, I think Sheamus wins, to be fair. I think you want to extend this out. The Women's Tag Team Championship, which is Sasha Banks and Bayley versus Nikki and Alexa versus the Iconics in a triple threat. Banks and Bayley have literally only just won the titles. This is clearly all about the growing rift between the two of them. You know, there was the video that WWE now put out about when they won the titles. They sat on the floor and did like fake crying, as the supposed like callback to WrestleMania 35 where they lost the belts. To whom, you might ask, the Iconics, who happen to be in this triple threat match. And I just think that there's a bit too much history attempting to repeat itself here. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the Iconics win the belt. And that is going to cause Sasha and Bayley to split, and that will lead into their feud. It's happening now, or it's happening slightly later. Like this is the thing. This is where this is going. The other women are being fed to this feud. It doesn't make any difference. You might get some tag team titles out of it, but really the story is about somebody else.
I'm going with Banks and Bayley to retain. I think they're going to have that split, but they'll do that split next month to lead into SummerSlam in August. So I say they retain now. The Iconics were just pinned on Raw by Asuka and Charlotte Flair. Well, they were tapped out, so I don't really think they feel like top contenders at the moment.
They weren't in WrestleMania 35, mate.
No, well, you're
Makes
absolutely
no difference.
Do you know what? And I don't think they care enough to really think about this as much as I am. But I'm sticking with Banks and Bayley retaining.
But before I get into my pick, I just want to say it's lovely seeing you two on screen together.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? Yeah, we've broken social distancing rules here to have Luke in the room with me live and also live in his own house. In the name of love.
You too.
They just look like Luke as well.
Yeah.
I mean, we do
It's
have
Irish
goatees,
Luke
I
again.
guess.
And he also wears beanies that remind me of Luke's beanie.
Guys, like we had this on the NXT podcast on Monday, where Adam now thinks that Karrion Kross is the Pokemon evolution of me. And I posted up on Twitter something yesterday, and there's a person on Twitter who just keeps replying to all of my tweets, Brandon Cutler, because they think that I look like Brandon Cutler.
Time someone else got it. That's why I had to shave my beard, because I was like every indie wrestler going. So
Hey, Mark Andrews has joined us. Hey, Zach Gibson has joined us.
Hey, Eric Rowan has joined us.
Laurie ran over Elias. My pick for this tag match, I must say, I'm actually, for the first time in a while, invested in the women's tag team titles, because I think the decision to put the belts on Bayley and Sasha Banks ahead of the pay-per-view was actually really surprising and inspired, and it will further their feud. I don't want to see them break up yet, though. I completely think that's what's going to happen, what you suggested, Laurie, but I don't think it's here. So I say Banks and Bayley to retain.
I add to my prediction. I've actually changed my mind on who is going to take the tag belts off of Banks and Bayley, and it's going to be Asuka and Charlotte Flair.
oh god.
Oh, no.
Because the Iconics could win a Backlash, right? And then Charlotte and Asuka come out and be like, well, we beat you on Raw, so that gives us the right to challenge you to the belt. And that's how they get the belts, and they can be the tag champs that are feuding.
You can't do that and rated RKO, Luke.
You want to do rated RKO? That's not my prediction.
Apollo Crews versus Andrade for the US Championship. Now, Andrade won a triple threat against Angel Garza and Kevin Owens, so not really a proper triple threat for the title shot. I kind of think Apollo should win, and that is just a gut feeling. I just don't think Andrade should be taking the title off him here. I don't think the climate is particularly right for that. You know, they can't be also telling a story about how Apollo's kind of grafted to get to this title shot and then take it off him immediately.
See what you're saying, and you're totally right. It makes sense in terms of pushing Apollo, makes sense in the current climate. However, 3-week push, plus neither Charlotte or Andrade having championship gold right now, I think it spells disaster for Apollo. I think The 3-week push is over. I don't want it to happen. I just, sometimes this is my darkest timeline pick because I've gone with my gut on everything else.
Yeah, I'm saying Apollo wins. Apollo retains.
Raw Women's Championship, Asuka versus Nia Jax. This has all been building out of Jax sort of stalking Asuka ever since she won the belt during Money in the Bank, when it was revealed that that was what it was for. It wasn't for a contract, it was for a nice shiny belt. They should have known by how heavy the briefcase was.
Asuka to retain because they're already building her match with Charlotte Flair. So it would be, it'd be idiotic for Edge and Randy Orton to actually attempt to have the greatest match ever. It would be not equally, but almost as idiotic to take the belt off of Asuka now because you've started a bigger program.
Asuka retains. Nia Jax is just a chapter in the larger story with Charlotte. I think, which I'm actually really into, the idea that Charlotte always beats Asuka. I think, hopefully this is building to a big putting over of the Empress of finally tomorrow/today. But yeah.
Tomorrow never comes, as they said in Bugsy Malone. I think Asuka's going to win here as well. I just, that is what they want us to think, isn't it? No, they want us to think that Nia Jax got a legitimate shot at winning this belt, which she doesn't. So it's Asuka. Let's do the Universal title next, which is Braun Strowman versus The Miz and John Morrison. This feels like a step down from the promise of The Fiend, doesn't it?
Yeah, we're prolonging.
Yes, exactly. So I think this is the thing. So Braun's already beaten Miz one-on-one, which somehow set up this handicap match. I think Braun should just destroy both of them, but I think this is going to go slightly longer than you imagine. Braun's going to run into at least 4 things, and then he's going to win because he's Braun Strowman and he has a date with The Fiend at SummerSlam.
Yeah, I'm going with Braun Strowman too. I really, really hope WWE protect Miz and Morrison in defeat, though, because they only just lost the belts, a couple of months ago. So what Edge is that?
This is Harry and Paul's
White House.
The Edge.
Oh, Edge, with your fascinating surname, Edge, and your even more fascinating first name, The
Edge.
I kind of want Miz and Morrison to be broken up. They sort of internally combust, and that's what loses them the match. Hopefully, because it's got to pay off to something soon, the hacker does a video of, Miz and Morrison, you should break up. And that's what directly leads to them losing and Braun retaining.
Oh, Bono, with your fascinating name that spelled backwards is Oh Knob. Look, Braun loves squashing tag teams, and that is what Braun does. Braun squashes tag teams. He's going to squash this tag team, and they're going to act like it never mattered. Braun retains.
Yeah, unless this is the return of Nicholas. I think they're saving it, mate. I think they're saving Nicholas for when the Fiend comes back. That'll be his Master A game plan. Will be like, I'm getting inside your mind, Braun Strowman. We tried with the sheep stuff. What about Nicholas? Boy, you cast out.
Schools aren't currently in session at the moment, so now's actually the perfect time to bring Nicholas in. He doesn't have those school commitments.
Yeah, the WWE Championship, Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley, backed up by MVP, most likely.
I cannot believe that about 6 weeks ago, Bobby Lashley was with Lana. He was a joke. He was flipping tires. He had no direction. And WWE, to their enormous credit, have completely repackaged him with MVP without undermining the relationship with Lana, because she is still very much in play here. I think they've done a fantastic job of rebooking Bobby Lashley. This should have happened 3-4 years ago when he first rejoined the company. He has had some of the worst gimmicks in recent memory over the last few years.
Some of the worst sisters in recent memory.
Hey, and now they've struck gold with him, more close to the Walking Armageddon character. They've even got the Master Lock over, which it doesn't really do anything for me. But ultimately, this is just a very, very well-built opponent for Drew McIntyre to beat.
Yeah, I agree. I think Drew's going to win here. Absolutely. I think it's still too early to take the belt off him.
I'm going to let the dice decide.
So, you've got 20 options. Use a D4 and half it.
I was going to do 1 through 10. I'm going to pick Drew. And 10 through 20, I'm going to pick Bobbles Lashley.
No, evens for baby faces, odds for heels.
Well, it's okay because I rolled a natural 1. So I'm sticking with Drew McIntyre. A critical failure.
But there is a feeling of bad luck hanging over the entire thing now.
I am Brandon Cutler.
He truly is Brandon Cutler, but he's actually Luke Owen. You can follow him on his Twitter address that is popped up on screen. You can follow me at mine, which is El Fakador. You can follow Ollie at his, which is Ollie Davis. They've appeared on screen right now. You can also head over to Patreon to become a pledge hammer and take part in Wrestle League, which is our predictions competition, and you get to vie against us to see who is the best at predicting. Chances are it's me. I'm currently at the top of the league with Adam. So, yeah.
Oh, by 1